Greetings and peace. Today's demonstration will be in regards to C. Ali el-Hafid, who in this literature is said to be the first Moorish American citizen, who was the uncle of Hadji Mohmed, who had property in Tangier and Coney Island. And the testimony comes from Albert Edwards, who came in contact with Hadji Mohmed and his uncle, C. Ali el-Hafid. Contents: Hadji Mohmed of Luna Park, page 846. On the top of a little hill overlooking the Bay of Tangier is a house belonging to Hadji Mohmed bin Youssef. Before it is a little platform of beaten earth where his apprentices go through endless acrobatic practices to prepare themselves in the music halls of the infidel. Hadji Mohmed is an American citizen. His voting residence is Luna Park. When I first met him, not knowing all this, I asked him if he spoke English. Sure ting, he said. In reality, he speaks Coney Islandese, but if you saw him sitting with his lawyers before the Grand Mosque as I did, first you would never suspect his Americanism. He dresses entirely after the Moorish manner while in Tangier. It was a decided shock for me to see the emblem of the Elks printed in the folds of his flowing jillah. So they speaking about the Elks Lodge? Hadji Mohmed started out as a member of the troupe of tumblers, but he had risen to the point where he had his own show on the Midway at the Columbian Exposition. He has been a partner with the Buffalo Bill. I remember seeing on TV in regards to Buffalo Bill, they saying he was a knockoff of Wild Bill or something like that. I think it was on Pawn Stars. They brought in something that was from Buffalo Bill, and they ended up saying that, you know, he kind of ran on the coattails of Wild Bill. But Moors have always been at the world's fairs. So this Wild Bill, this is proof that he was around Moors. So this Buffalo Bill may have been even truer than Wild Bill, because again, Moors was all through the circus, the world's fairs, having Moorish temples and everything, brothers and sisters. They was known for going around the world and showing their culture, because Europeans, it was so strange to them, but it was so exciting. That's why fairs, you have the mirrors and all this stuff, man. All that came from the Moors. He has been a partner with Buffalo Bill, has performed in Moscow and Buenos Aires. At present, he has 10 troops on the road and is a rich man. Sounds like he was doing his thing, man. Hadji Mohmed has kept true to his religion. How many Christians who vote for Coney Island can make a like claim? He has made the pilgrimage to Mecca. He has never, not even at his initiation to the Elks. See, Hadji Mohmed, you better not have gave no oath. But see, his uncle, who they said is the first Moorish American citizen, you know, Ali, his uncle, I bet he didn't give no oath to no Elks or nothing like that. But that was the problem. The younger Moors was being astrayed by European cultures and trying to amalgamate and chase after the gods of Europe, brothers and sisters. But as far as this Elks, the lodge, we're going to look into that further, because we know exactly where they went astray. They went into the Elks. So we're going to look into that further. So he hasn't once violated the Prophet's injunction against strong drink, not even during the initiation in the Elks, which is, I think, is the Blue Lodge. One day I rode out with him to his house on the hill. He wanted me to see his boys, and above all to meet his uncle, C. Ali el-Hafid. He the real ting, Hadji Mohmed told me. Foist Moorish American citizen. Again, he's the real ting, Hadji Mohmed told me. Foist Moorish American citizen. He long time in States. He used to be great artist. Now he go down and out. Too old, dead one. But he good friend. He got a heart big as a boxcar. We came to a gate in a high thorn edge, and my host gave a shout in Arabic. Immediately there was an uproar within. Ba Mahmed, Ba Mahmed, from a dozen boyish voices, Ba being the Arabic for father. The gate swung open and the youngsters tumbled out, each struggling for a chance to hold Ba Mahmed's stirrup or care for his horse. Never have I seen such evidence of affection between a master and his apprentices. And we know about Moors speak about master and servant. A servant or a slave ain't necessarily being treated bad, you know what I'm saying? And I began to suspect Hadji Mohmed's heart is also as big as a boxcar. Inside we came to the flat of hard-beaten earth, the scene of the boys' practice. No mats for these lads. If they fall, it is on ground as hard as concrete. Beyond the little plateau is a downsweep of yellow sand to the bay, light green in the shallows where the white surf breaks. then turning blue further out until beyond the Cape is seen the ultramarine of the Straits. 20 miles across are the yellow hills of Spain. My office, said Hadji Mohmed. Not much. Better office at Coney Island. Good enough for Morocco. Nothing up to date here. So this Moor was going back and forth, whether Coney Island or Tangier. Y'all ready to meet Si Ali, the Moorish American citizen? Within, sitting cross-legged, here we go with that cross-legged, always with the Moors, on a gorgeous Sias carpet under a signed portrait of President Grant and a picture of the Flatiron Building was Si Ali El Hafid, white-haired, his eyes sunken and glassy. He was over 80 years old and nearing his dotage. Now this is 1910. During this time, Woodrow Ali's like 24 years of age. But the sight of an American seemed to revive him. Ik ben American, he said. In his old brain, the many languages he had learned in his youth were sadly mixed. Islam, that's how I'm gonna be, brothers and sisters. But gradually his memory awoke. See, he said, President Grant gave me his picture. I go to White House. So we got the first Moorish American citizen they speaking about going to the White House to see the president, right? President Grant. And Woodrow Ali went to the White House to meet Woodrow Wilson. I go to White House and see President Grant and his wife, she countrywoman. Hadji Mohmed explained that Si Ali was a very wise man and could tell at sight if a person was town-bred or countrywoman. Yes, said Ali, I tell always, you countryman. I wonder if his guess about Miss Grant was any better. I have rarely seen a potato which was not cooked, and have the vaguest of ideas about the trees from which they are picked, but I did not like to contradict the old man. This is a perfect example of how translation of language can cause confusion, because he may not have meant the same thing as a countryman as how he was thinking of a countryman, because like I was listening to country music and the frequency is the same as this. I was thinking because he was saying he was a countryman, and I was like, he's not about his country, so he's not a countryman. You know what I'm saying? So he thought totally different than what he was thinking, I feel. So I lied gracefully and said he was very wise. Then he asked me to sit down and he would tell me a story. So we're about to get a story from Ali, the documented first Moorish American citizen. And this is documented in 1910, brothers and sisters. And if you want to weigh how accurate this is, within this magazine also, it has a testimony from Theodore Roosevelt, who had an encounter with the popes of Rome. And I want to go over that demonstration sometime too, because we had the National Geographic demonstration on the popes of Rome. Then he asked me to sit down and he would tell me a story. Ah, said Hadji Mohmed, you listen. He great storyteller. Before he go to States, he wander all around Morocco and tell stories. Hobo. So there's the word hobo. So as far as them using that word hobo, that's for Moorish. But see, as far as them talking about homeless people and them just sitting where they sit, I also read about Moors is their jurisdiction and their empire was so large that they would travel hundreds of miles away, and wherever they stood, it was like their backyard, so they'd sit down and go to sleep wherever. But like the tourists and Europeans would look at them like, why are they sleeping in the street? Because they in their backyard, man. Even if they wasn't at their building where they call their home or their bed, they was home, and they'd travel hundreds of miles into lands, and it was all they land, and that's how they thought of it. So when they was tired, they'd sit down and sleep, bro. They was at home in their backyard in the shade from hundreds of miles away, because it was the empire, the inheritance of the Moorish Americans or the Moroccans, and then the descendants of Moroccans born in America are the Moorish Americans, the heirs of the royal bloodline. And the old man, remembering with much pain the English words, told me how it happened that there are devils in the world. When Allah sent the flood in the days of Noah, his object was to drown out evil. And Noah had special orders not to let any bad thing enter the ark. There was only one narrow gangplank, and Noah stood beside it with a big stick. All the people of the earth, all the animals crowded about hoping to get in. But Noah would let none pass who could not show a clean bill of health. At last, all those predestined to be saved were aboard except a pair of asses. As in the eyes of Eastern people, these are the most useful of all animals. Noah was anxious to save them, but they balked. He had a strenuous time trying to get them on the gangplank, and at last, losing his temper, he cursed them. Go in, you fools, he cried, and may devils ride you. A few days after Noah had pulled up his anchor, he heard a deafening row down in his hold. Running down, he was surprised to see a couple of devils teasing the elephants. "How did you get aboard?" he demanded. "Did you not tell us to ride in on the asses?" "And so," said Si Ali, "because old Noah said bad words, we, his children, are plagued by devils." The old man told me another story, this time of his own life. 40 years ago, he had been with a troop in Mexico. A Moors in Mexico. See, man, we be breaking down and cracking the ethers, brothers and sisters. We be getting y'all down to your knees so every head will bow, brothers and sisters, with the word of truth, brothers and sisters. But I kind of feel like I go against my prophet because he said don't throw pearls among swine, and peace and love and honors to all the few that support. But to the rest of you that just sit and watch and take in the adept lessons and then go out and don't support or anything, brothers and sisters, I feel like I'm throwing pearls among swine. But to the few that support Islam and honors to you, Moors. 40 years ago, he had been with a troop in Mexico City. And going out into the country for a walk, he lost his way. At last, he reached a cluster of adobe huts. His strange clothes attracted the village folk, including the padre. "They were all afraid of me," Si Ali said, "except the priest." "Where do you come from?" he asked me. "Tangier," I said. I could speak Spanish very well. "Where is Tangier?" he asked. "In Africa," I said. "Where is Africa?" Such a stupid priest. "In Jerusalem," I told him for a joke. The padre fell down and kissed Si Ali's feet. You hear that, brothers and sisters? And getting up, preached a sermon on the spot, telling his flock that on account of his own great sanctity, the Lord, as a special mark of favor, had sent him this messenger from the holy city. You see how easily he got that? So when Woodrow Ali came, how come you couldn't get it that easy? See, Ali told him what was up. He dropped to his feet, kissed his feet, and was ready to honor him, brothers and sisters. Why couldn't y'all get it that easy? He asked me to preach to the people, Si Ali ended, but I would not. Why should I, who am a Moor, help at a Christian meeting? Hadji Mohmed called his boys together for an exhibition. There were 5 who were full grown and a dozen youngsters around 10. Their work was commonplace enough. You can see it any summer day at Coney. But what impressed me was the good fellowship and lightheartedness of all of it. These Moors was teaching their heirs to be industrious at a young age, and they'll never have to be a beggared nation or depend on anyone. They started at a young age, brothers and sisters. One reads and hears so much of the somber dignity of the Moor. I have never seen a crew who got so much fun from skylarking and horseplay. They were full of loving respect for the 2 older men, but were unrestrained by their presence. Old Si Ali, who they helped out to a seat in the sun, was forever calling them clumsy, imbeciles, and threatening him with their cane. That's what Uncle posed to do. Hadji Mohmed took one of them by the ear, a strapping young giant of 20, and led him over to me. "See this stupid lunatic," he said. "He make much trouble. Last year I had him at Luna Park. He came home before me and tell everybody that Coney Island is on the bottom of the earth. He say, you come to New York in big boat, then go down in deep, deep well. Ride long time in car, come out other side of the earth, that Coney Island." See, Woodrow Ali again was like 24 years of age right now. They said this other brother was 20. So this could have been Woodrow Ali's cousins. And these Moorish American citizens was going back and forth from New York to Tangier, brothers and sisters, had property in both areas. Si Ali, he been often in Coney Island in old days. He say, "Young man here liar." He say, "You go to Coney by great big bridge." Young man say he never seen no big bridge. "He always go through earth to other side," Si Ali said. He want to send him away for fool and liar. Then I came back and explained about subway. I thought it sounded odd, but 1904 is when the subway was. After the exhibition, Hadji Mohmed invited me to dinner. "You come my house for couscous." And you can look back in the demonstrations. We have Moorish recipes that have couscous. Moor dinner. "I got fine house in town, Si Ali. He tell you more stories. Si Ali play on Moor drum, little fiddle with 2 string, very fine." And we know Moors have always been musicians and entertainers. They've always been in harmony with the frequency of scales and the beat of a drum, all of that. In these days and times, rappers, musicians, but they're doing it in a lower self form. All the Moors' ancestors used to travel around the world and share their cultures with the world, and they would love it, like the World's Fair and all of that. They are unconsciously being who their ancestors was, but in a lower frequency, a lower vibration. From a narrow, dirty street, we turned through a great arched gate into a dark court and up some steep stairs to a highlight room. There were divans about 3 sides, and on the walls some prints of theatrical papers and some signed photos of vaudeville artists. Si Ali tried vainly to teach me the Moorish way of eating couscous. It is the most difficult table feat I have ever seen, infinitely more elusive than chopsticks. I love learning, brothers and sisters. This is water to my spirit, just learning, brothers and sisters. I love it. I think we're going to end it here, brothers and sisters. And I think that the part 2 is going to be on a demonstration with a Moor or something, because there's a lot to this, brothers and sisters, with Hadji Mohmed and Si Ali, who he said was the first Moorish American citizen, brothers and sisters. And as you see, Peace and Justice in the Sudan by Theodore Roosevelt, an address at the American Mission in Khartoum. The thought came of putting this into a book form, but I know if I did that, nobody would support it and they wouldn't get the information. So I put it out for free. But you all need to take heed and see who Allah's releasing these keys to. And it's to the ones who's taking the time to study, brothers and sisters. And support those Moors, Muslim sons, whoever it is that's coming with the keys that are studying. If the Prophet was on scene in Chicago right now and he sat down and did a review for the week of who was demonstrating online platforms or whatever, using the press to defend the truth from avalanches of lies, who would be in his favor? Everyone must put out literature, and this is counted as literature. This is potent information, brothers and sisters. And what, you act like it's not true literature because it's on a platform like this? You're in a grave error. You're going to wish you assisted when the Mizunas was down. You're going to wish you assisted when the Mizunas was down. When the Byzantine coins was down, the Moorish coins was down. You didn't assist with the uplifting of fallen humanity. You made a grave error, brothers and sisters. Allah guides this movement. Honors to the few, Islam.